Hello and welcome to the 11th episode of ZeroCool's HardDrive. I'm Berg. With me, as always, are Dunkel and a man who became the 1507th member of the Rance McGrew fan club, Houseman. This week, the randomizer gods chose for us 2016 and A Monster Calls. Top billed cast are Liam Neeson, Lewis McDonald, Sigourney Weaver, and Felicity Jones. Now I'll pass it on to Houseman for some news and movie facts.
I'm not just a member of the Rance McGrew fan club. I'm pretty sure I'm the biggest fan.
You love that name now.
Who does not love Rance
The name
McGrew?
is funny, but I don't like the character, that's for sure.
Oh, he's awesome. Stunt double!
No, he's terrible.
Call back there, peeps. You'll have to listen to the last episode. All right, but let's get into the year here. So the year is 2016. Not much happened there. Not much at all. Nothing really to cover. But I do have some kind of off-the-wall movie facts, news for that year. First is the phenomenon known as Stranger Things came out that year. So I know that kind of took over.
That was huge. Yeah.
Took over everyone's living room TVs for quite a while there.
Just like Game of Thrones, the last season wasn't all it was cracked up.
Yep. Last season was kind of stale, but we're not here to talk about that. You'll have your own opinions, folks, and that's fine. But more importantly, one of the even bigger phenomenons to come out that year was Pokemon Go, which I must admit I even tried for a very short period.
Yeah, the only good thing that came out of it was it got people off their couches and out looking for.
You can't say Pokemon that was after your time, and then tell me that you played Pokemon Go.
He's just
it's Pokemon Go. I mean,
he's
everyone
a
had
sucker
to
for
try
the
it.
fads. Leave him alone.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure, like at least every person in this world tried that game once.
I would guess so. Yeah,
or at least every person with a smartphone,
for sure.
But yeah, to Berg's point there, it was kind of like a big phenomenon. Kids getting outside, looking for Pokemon. Sure, their faces were stuck in the screens, but at least they were outside. Also, one of the big hit plays that year, Hamilton, which is like a kind of the quasi-historical musical play based on Alexander Hamilton's life. That's about as much as I can say about it because I've never watched it.
Nope, never watched it. Never really seen him play it.
Definitely made the Lin-Manuel Miranda household name for sure. And then last but not least, for all you science nerds out there, gravitational waves were detected for the first time ever. I believe it was the LIGO Laser Interferometer
Crazy
something observatory.
I'm
not going to try it.
Gravity's a scam.
Yeah, to all you flat earthers out there, sorry to burst your bubble. All right.
The Earth's flat.
But to get into our movie this week is, of course, A Monster Calls from 2016. But to jump into some of the other movies that year, Best Picture winner was Spotlight. Never watched that one, but won Best Picture for the year. Best Actor was Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. And I think that's where the dude gets mauled by a bear. It's about as much as I remember.
Is that the one is that his first big award thing that he was trying to get for forever? Is that what that was?
Oh,
I think he was never ever like trying. I think he just never got picked for one.
It was just
then he finally did. I think the internet world just really wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely nominate him in The Departed for an award. He did a good job in that movie. Best Actress was Brie Larson in Room.
I've seen Room.
But yeah, so those are the notable movies of that year. This movie in particular, it had a $43 million budget, but only made back $47 million globally. So not exactly a smashing success, but
that had to have been mostly CGI, right?
Yeah. Judging by the tone and the content of the film, I can understand how it wasn't necessarily like a box office buster, which, to be fair, I don't think it really seemed like it intended to be. But if you want a few little trivia about the movie, Tom Holland actually served as a stand-in for the monster. So I believe those are the people that they'll have stand-in the shots just to make sure the lighting and audio and everything looks good.
I didn't realize this was a Marvel movie.
Well, yeah, Groot. Come on.
Yeah, Groot. Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's actually one of the first things my wife said.
Groot learned to talk.
She just says Groot.
Yeah.
Also, one of the photos in the grandma's house was actually a publicity photo of Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters. I guess that was in the commentary of the movie, which I think I might have to go back and maybe listen to. And lastly, most say it's a close adaptation of the book by Patrick Ness. I never read the book, so I'll just have to take their word for it.
I haven't either. I'm guessing it was more of a children's book, young adult, probably.
I think it was like more of a young adult.
I mean, the movie's PG-13, so I would guess young adult.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. But never read the book, so couldn't say. But sounds like it was a fairly faithful adaptation. But with that being said, who wants to start us off in our journey through A Monster Calls?
I can start really quick. Movie starts where we get Liam Neeson, who after this movie I think should have done so much more voiceover work.
Oh yeah.
He has a good voice for it. Where we start
Yes,
out
he
with
does.
our main character Connor, who is too old to be a kid, too young to be a man, and a nightmare is how the movie starts as a story with Liam Neeson telling it. And right away, the dream that he has or the nightmare that he keeps having that's repeated throughout this is terrifying.
Absolutely.
He's next to a church that's collapsing into a hole in a graveyard. Yeah, I feel like he's too young to have a dream like that, and he's trying to save his mom from the hole. Like, holy buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it started off intense.
Yeah, it definitely starts off intense. And yeah, we kind of just get into it. He starts making himself some breakfast. You kind of see that he's like kind of going off on his own because his mom is sick. You see a lot of pills by the jams, which I thought was a weird place for the pills to be.
Mm-hmm.
See, I was like confused at first though because I wasn't sure of the situation. Because like he walks by his mother's bedroom, looks through the crack in the door, and she's kind of there sleeping. And he's, as you pointed out, he seems very independent, right? To get himself ready.
So you thought she was a drug dealer?
No, well, I thought maybe that. I thought maybe
depression.
she was like suffering from like severe anxiety, or maybe she was
because
like,
I could have sworn when he opens that and you see the pills that one of them says like for depression or something like that. I could have sworn it was
No, so I looked back. Because I was trying to catch the name on it. Doper Don.
Oh, so it was just the name of the
yeah.
drug. Okay, I thought I read depression. So yeah, okay.
No,
so it was just the
I
name
thought
of the
the
drug
same
that
thing,
she was taking. One of the drugs she was taking.
Yeah,
and then not much very happens. We go to school. You see that he likes drawing. He's like drawing in a book, like crazy drawings in this book, just wrecking the book at school. His teacher doesn't notice somehow. I feel like every time I wrote in books and I drew instead of listen, the teachers would be like, "Hey, quit it."
Yeah, flips to the book and then he gets to a page. There's a little note left for him saying, "See you after school, always." And he looks forward and there's his bully.
Yeah, his bully that's always staring at him.
Yeah,
which was super weird. And I thought we were gonna maybe I don't know.
I was thinking there was gonna be some storyline going on there. Again, I have not read the book, so if you're listening to this and going, "Oh my god, how do you not know?"
Yeah, how do you not?
I thought that maybe there was like a relationship budding there or something. I wasn't quite sure.
Also, towards the end, I thought also that was possibly what was going to be happening because he just kept staring at him. But yeah, I don't know. There were some different looks that it was like, this is interesting, possibly.
Right, like maybe they were friends beforehand and something happened, or.
Right. And then, then you see that these kids bully him. And I wrote this down because it was really weird. Like, I've seen bullying, yes, people get picked on and pushed around and stuff, but he grabs his tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, he pushes him down and he reaches into his mouth and grabs his tongue and starts pulling his tongue. Is that an English thing? To pull someone's tongue in their mouth? Like, I've never seen that before in like a bullying scene ever.
I hope for his sake that was just like a one take thing, because that
I would hope so too,
because that would clean either, because he's just like all up in there.
Yeah, he's like,
and the way he does it, like he rubs his fingers by his lips and he gets all up in there. I was like, oh, please God, tell me that was a one take kind of thing, because that
it's very, very strange. It was very weird. I didn't understand that.
Kids, this is what bullying in Britain looks like.
Yeah,
very weird.
Yeah. So then we get he goes home. This is this where Sigourney Weaver comes in? Is she at the house when he gets back after the bullying?
This is where she brings out King Kong.
Oh right, she has like an old projector with the King Kong movie in it.
Was it her father's or like grandpa's old projector?
I believe it was
her father's, because I think that's yeah,
I think it was father's. Which, if you do notice when there's pictures and stuff, Liam Neeson's in the pictures as her dad.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed that, like in the background, like you every once in a while see a picture, and I was like, that's Liam Neeson. So like that's kind of interesting. That
I didn't notice.
We'll probably get to that connection later, but I noted that too. Is that
we can get to that
with him narrating a scene in the background.
Yeah, they watch King Kong. She falls asleep on the couch. He goes up to bed, keeps drawing a little bit, and then at 12:07,
they never covered the significance of that. That threw me off.
They definitely
did cover the significance of that very much.
Oh yeah,
yes.
At the end, we'll get to it at the end. But anyway, at 12:07, he is looking at this yew tree out in the distance, and he sees it start breaking apart, and then it gets legs and it gets arms, and I thought it was interesting that it rips all of the branches with leaves off of itself every time. I thought that was a weird adage, but the monster
well, maybe
comes.
important to note that, like, I think because weren't there a few scenes before this kind of foreshadowing the tree because he was staring out the window, and they just kind of zoomed in on the tree like at night, and they weren't really.
I think maybe like
mom,
once, but I don't know that they really foreshadowed it too much. I mean, the tree was there for his dream.
And maybe that's
the
what I'm
mom.
thinking
The mom
of.
brings it up like towards the end. She talks about like
Towards the end, she does, but I think
because she talks about like the tree that I always tell you stories about.
Yeah,
I don't think the tree. Yeah, it didn't come in that much. It was in his dream, but I don't know that he. I mean, maybe he looked out at it a couple of times. I can't really remember, but yeah. So monster comes up. The monster says something about his mom. And he like slams the door all tough, and he's like, "You don't need to talk to her." And then like being all tough, and then the monster punches a hole in the wall, and then it's just like, then he's terrified. It's like, obviously, that's what I wrote down. Tough until the monster punches a hole in the wall.
yeah.
I know that was I had a note on that. He said, "I'm not afraid of you," and then like my thought was like, "What you just say to me?" And he just like punches through the wall and grabs him.
And then we come to find out this monster doesn't really have any ill intentions.
Right. Yeah, he grabs him, and then he tells him he's going to tell him 4 stories. He's going to tell 3 stories.
3, and the 4th is the one that he has
Connor
to tell.
is the one that he has to tell. Yep. And he's like, what if I don't? And he basically shows him, I don't know, like hell in his mouth. I wrote down tree hell. I don't know how else you describe it.
Tree hell.
Because it was just like a bunch of vines inside like a molten lava looking place. I don't know how else you would describe what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't listen to the stories.
I don't think I described it as tree hell. And in fact, I was kind of like, I wasn't quite sure the significance of like the fire or flames or like, the kind of
I really
wasn't
through either.
They never really referenced it.
Yeah, they didn't really reference it anymore after that, I don't think. And then, so they argue back and forth a little bit about learning stories, and the kid says he doesn't want to, but then we get a story, and it cuts to like a watercolor cartoon type of thing, which I actually very much enjoyed. I thought it was pretty cool.
Because this is the one that is the slaying of the witch.
Yes. So we don't need to go into the whole story. The story is about a witch who's evil but probably not evil. The prince is actually the evil one, type of thing.
Yeah, because I actually had a decent amount of notes under like each of the stories. So I wanted to make sure I had some follow up on them because I was trying to see if there's any significance. Because the queen becomes married to the husband, right? And then he ends up dying, and the boy is not old enough to become king. So then she takes over, and then she doesn't want to give it up, and the prince wants to get married, and he wakes up and the wife is dead, right?
Yeah. And then
it was basically the gist of it was the queen wasn't evil, the prince was actually evil because he's the one who killed his own wife to get everybody going after the queen so he could take the throne. Was kind of
and it's at this point you realize that the monster is like trying to be ambiguous. Like because he was telling the truth, but he wasn't he was omitting some things.
Right.
I think to me, maybe I'm getting too analytical here, right? It was kind of this trying to get Connor to understand like things can be morally gray and it's not all black and white.
Yeah, almost it was pretty much like that because he has a line at the end that we can talk about when he finishes like the last stories about each story and why they're kind of like that.
Yeah.
But so then he wakes up the next morning. That's when Sigourney Weaver's there, and they're kind of arguing back and forth. Mostly when they're arguing with whispers, they're kind of talking about what to do with Connor. I feel like every time that the adults are talking, like they don't really let you hear a lot of the conversation. It's mostly like whispers, and it's usually about what to do with him. Like obviously his mom is sick. They never really say that she has cancer, but she obviously has cancer.
Yeah,
and I think it's
right. Like she goes bald at the end and stuff like that. So obviously it was cancer, but they're always just like talking behind his back, and he kind of walks up, and then they stop talking.
And I definitely think you're meant to like kind of see things from Connor's perspective. So you're kind of closed off from the rest of what's going on.
Because he said, doesn't he say he always knows what was happening, but he was just kind of like trying to deny it for the most part?
Kind of a little bit at the end, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll definitely get to that.
Yeah. So while Sigourney Weaver's there, Sigourney Weaver is the mom's mom. The mom has like a spell, or what do you want to call it? Like something happens. He has to grab some medicine, which they spill all over the place. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like, she was putting it on the spoon, but then as she was bringing the spoon up to her mouth, it was just like all over. Like, she couldn't have got that much of this medicine that she was supposed to be taking. Like, obviously, it's like a little bit of a panic because she's on the floor, but like it was spilling everywhere. Like, you can't tell me that this medicine isn't important. Like, take your time a little bit.
Right.
No, but of course, like every time this is happening, right? She's like, "Well, the last one didn't work, so I'm hoping this new one works," and trying to kind of give the kid hope.
Yep, giving them hope about each treatment that's going to happen that might help, and all those good things. Where did we go? Where does it go after this?
So yeah, to kind of get back to the grandmother, right? The grandmother, she's a little bit stern, kind of, not really keen on the events that are going on. Like her, you can tell her and Connor are pretty much at odds in terms of kind of the.
Yeah, they're just kind of like I don't know. She's a grandma, but I don't know. She just doesn't.
Yeah, because right after that, it
get along with
like
them for sure. Grandma, two different people.
Grandma staying the night, and the boy ends up sleeping on the couch, and then he has another version of his nightmare of the church collapsing into the ground.
Yep, at 12:07.
And yeah, it's at this point, or at least near this point, that they mentions that his father's going to be coming to town from the States. And it's at that point, I think I can't remember the line Sigourney Weaver says, but she's not a fan of him.
Yeah,
she's not necessarily pleased with the guy.
It's something about like he can't stay long enough to leave or something. Like he does something along the lines.
Like he's a good starter,
not staying. Yeah,
like a good starter, but a bad finisher, or something like that.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah. Dunkel.
Rude. But just before, I think is it before that where she tells that she doesn't care for the dad before he gets into the second story?
Yeah, I believe it was like when you first are introduced to the grandma. That like
I think she's already talking bad about him. Yeah,
because she tells Connor that like, hey, your dad's coming to town from the States, so you better have this place ship shape.
Right, and then so we get the second story. After all that kind of goes down.
Yeah, and this story covers the industrial age and an apothecary priest who hates. Or no, there's an apothecary and there's a priest. Priest doesn't care for the apothecary, and the priest or the apothecary really, really wants a tree to help heal people, but the apothecary says no. And then
other way around.
Oh, sorry, I was getting confused. Sorry.
Yeah, the apothecary. Well, it's all of these things happen around the yew tree, which is what the monster is made out of. So the death of the one wife is under the yew tree, and then the apothecary wants to cut part of the yew tree because it's super good medicine.
And then the priest ends up telling him no. I think they actually, where I was getting confused, they call him a parson. That's what threw me off.
Yeah, the priest they call a parson.
So basically, what it comes down to is like his little girls end up getting sick, and he tells them like, well, I need your help. Nobody can figure out a way to heal them. So then he asks him, okay, fine, can I have the tree? And he said, do whatever you want, whatever it takes. And then the apothecary just tells him, nobody can ever help you. And then he just leaves, and the girls die.
Yeah, it's because he also asks him, he says, would you give up your faith? And he says, yes, I would give anything to save them. And that's when he's like, well, then no one can help you, because if you can't have your faith, then you can't have anything. It's kind of how the moral of the story is supposed to be, I think. Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was after that night, right? His father gets into town. You're kind of introduced to him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my first thoughts about the father is like, he comes into town, he takes him to a fair, goes on some rides. It's like, you're that guy. Yeah, you get to come to town, be the fun one.
But it's also they also have a really weird relationship too, because obviously he probably doesn't see his dad that much, but they're also kind of standoffish against each other.
Yeah,
for most of that also.
I mean, you can tell he's excited to see him, but there is a little bit of tension there.
It reminded me a little bit of the dad from Angels in the Outfield.
It's been a long time since I've watched that movie.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it too.
It's, I mean, granted, the dad in that movie is a lot worse, because he literally comes down like, "Hey, I'm gonna take you to a ball game, and if the Angels make the pennant, you're gonna come home with me." And then he comes back. He's like, "Oh, I get to come with you." He's like, "No, I'm leaving town actually," and that's all you see of him.
Yeah. So, yeah, the dad does all that. But then this is where I kind of thought the dad was not that great. Like, so this kid's mom is dying. They're trying to get her good. And the kid's like, well, what if basically, like, if something happens, I can't come live with you. And the dad's just like, no, we don't have enough room for you in America.
Yeah, because we live in America.
It was like, yeah, come on, dude. Like This kid is like 12. You can't just be like, nah. Me and my
LA's
wife
expensive.
and
I can't fit you.
me and my new wife and my
Right.
new kid can't fit you in this house. Sorry. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like what was even the whole point of him even flying back at that point, too? Because you're just flying back just to like look at your. Because they weren't even married, I don't think. Because they just said that they had him young, didn't they?
yeah,
And
they had
Yeah.
him young. They had him young, and he was. It was that whole trope that they usually do, where it's like the kid was young, and how did he put it? Like he was young and scared, and he didn't basically want the kid, and his mom was never going to give him up, and then he ran to America. Basically, is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean,
yeah, so-
I never got the impression that he was like a deadbeat dad, though. I mean, he seemed.
Because it seems like they still enjoy each other a little bit.
Yeah, the dad at least seemed invested, in what was going
Mhm.
on with him.
yeah,
So it
and then
wasn't
he,
like a
he was saying
total.
that, but he kept saying that money was tight, but he would still be able to come visit all the time, which I thought was like, how are you going to visit all the time if money is too tight to have this kid in America?
Yeah. And my
Mom's-
assumption was that he probably visited often, or at least semi-often,
Possibly.
if they kind of had that closer relationship.
I know your mom's dying, but you can still come over for Christmas.
Right. Yeah. So the dad drops him off at grandma's house because his mom went to the hospital for the next treatment, or because she had that little spell. They brought her to the hospital, and
Mm-hmm.
we find out that grandma's like a realtor. That doesn't really matter for the story, but the grandma was still out. But I can't remember if it was like the next morning or it was before he went with his dad, where his grandma was like, "There's food in the fridge. You already had eggs twice this week, so you can have some steamed spinach." This kid is 12.
Mm-hmm.
You
She
tell me
sounds
this
like
kid's gonna make steamed spinach and like you can't have eggs more than twice a week? Like
she sounded like an evil nanny out of a fairy tale or something in that moment.
She
spinach, kid.
She didn't want his cholesterol to get out of whack.
You've had too many eggs this week. You gotta have your spinach. Oh gosh. But I think
Mhm.
it's this night, right? That the monster comes to visit again.
Oh, well,
Is it-
first
isn't it?
Well, they kind of end up back
Or
at
we
school.
have something else first.
Yeah, they go back to the school first, and he's just kind of standing there, and he's just staring the bully in the face again. And then
no,
he ends
so
up like,
we
was it
kind of got
before
ahead
that?
of ourselves because
Oh.
at his grandma's was when the apothecary story happens.
Mm-hmm.
And inside that story, the monster starts destroying a building.
That doesn't happen yet, I
Yes.
don't think.
I'm pretty
He
sure
did.
it does.
Well, first he gets beat up by the bully. So he sees the mom. He goes sees the bully again. They stare each other in the face, and then they end up in like the schoolyard again. And that's where he kind of looks him in the face, and he goes, nobody else gets to beat him up except for me, and we kind of have this agreement. And that's when he ends up back at the house, and then she says like, "Hey, this is the food that you can have." And then he meets the dad, and that's when he realizes the dad tells him, he's like, "No, this isn't going to happen." And that's when he freaks out.
Okay. So that's
Yeah, because
'cause
he gets
I'm
back
trying
to
to
that.
remember-
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
because he gets back to the house.
He calls the monster.
Yeah, because he
That's
gets
how
back
that
to the
went down.
house because he's mad because he realizes his dad's not going to do the thing. So he walks up to the fancy grandfather clock that grandmother tells him like is super precious to her, like this will
Yeah, it
always be
was-
the correct time kind of thing. And he goes up to it.
Great grandmother's. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like 12:30 on the clock, and he like snaps it to go to 12:07. Or when he breaks it, it becomes 12:07, and that's when the monster comes in.
Right. And then the
Monster's
that's not
like-
when yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is when the monster says, "Hey, tonight I'm gonna tell you a tale of destruction."
Yeah,
I think
'cause
you're
this
gonna
is
love this one.
This is the third story, right?
This is like an extension of the
second
fourth
story.
or the third story. I mean, or extension of the apothecary one,
Okay,
It was the
there you go.
extension of the
Yeah.
apothecary one, I believe.
because basically they go to the Parsons house.
Mhm.
Because they're kind of going on this diatribe or rant about how the parson was kind of how good was his faith if he was willing to abandon it that easily.
Mm.
You know,
So they must not finish. They must have not have finished the second story the first time they went through it.
yeah, it's kind of I forget exactly the context in which they come back into it, but yeah, so
Yeah,
he
'cause
goes to
so-
the Parsons house
Yeah, because then they go. He's there with the
within the dream world.
within the tree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
within
and
the dream
they
world,
find
yeah.
the house, and he says, "We're here to destroy the house." And he asked him whose house it was, and was it the Parsons' house or the apothecary's house?
The Parsons.
It was the
house.
Parsons.
Yeah,
it was the
because he
Parsons house.
gave up on his faith just for selfish reasons.
Yeah, and
So
the
then he
tree was-
starts.
the tree was going to destroy it. Yeah.
Yeah, so then he starts asking the little boy, "What should I do?" Kind of thing. He's like, "Destroy the chimney, destroy the beds, destroy the furniture, break the windows." And like my note for that, like it's just a rage room at this point. because he hands him like stick and he's like, here, nah, you do it. And he just starts beating on the windows. And then like reality snaps back and he just went
that room.
ham
Yeah.
on grandma's house. And like
Absolutely
her house
nuts.
is the version of like a grandma's where like she has all like the ceramic figurines everywhere, glass plates, like all these characters, and everything is destroyed. And like it was impressive.
I was, forgive my language here, audience, but I was like, the first thing I thought was, you little shit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, absolutely wrecked that room.
Yeah. So she comes home and she just like catches his eye through like the door frame, and she walks in and she just sits there and just doesn't say anything. And she like turns and looks at him, and you could tell she just wants to say something or do something. And then she just knocks over one of the cabinets and just walks away.
But also, I got the feeling, though, that she didn't also want to do anything because she was also losing her daughter. Like, she understood.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was understanding a little bit also in that moment. Like, he is a 12-year-old going through his mom's, possible death.
And to me, it was like a kind of illustrated a moment of like, previously she was kind of the strong one.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, I think seeing that, and it's probably in the book too, right? And I'm sure this was based on a personal story, but
yeah, it was also like when she dumps that over, it's almost like without saying anything, it was like, you missed one, just not.
Yeah.
I think it kind of broke her for lack of a better way of saying it.
So grandma kind of disappeared, and little boy, he starts to go after her to like apologize, like, and then he checks her room and she's missing, and he finds her upstairs behind a locked door. And he's just kind of like staring through the people, and they don't really explain it till the end. But it ends up being the daughter's room.
Yeah, it ends up being his mom's room.
Yeah, his mom's room from when she was younger, and she's just in there crying. So he wakes up in the morning after like everything like crashes out, and dad's just in the kitchen making breakfast for some reason.
Well, I'm guessing the grandma called him and was like, "Hey, make your kid clean all this stuff up."
Well, there's a recurring theme that happens here too, because his dad is like, "Wow, you really did a number on this place, didn't you?"
Yeah, he says you were very thorough. He says,
and the one of the recurring themes here though is Connor is like, well, aren't you going to punish me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like there's a few people that have said this to him, but it's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
What good is it gonna? What is it gonna do?
Yeah, right. which is I suppose true with a kid going through grief, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone was understanding of, was just, hey, we understand what you're going through, so we can forgive.
Yeah, and at this point, the dad kind of covers like they help clean up just like a little bit, and then he explains like why him and his mom didn't stay together. He just explains like it just didn't work out. She just wasn't for me. And then he's like, but I am super happy that you are who you are and you're every part of what she is. Like he's into drawing, and apparently his mom was really into drawing. So he said it's awesome that he like got that skill from her. And then they find these DVD set of him age through 5. And they just kind of leave it there for now, and they kind of come back to it later.
Yeah, he comes. Yeah, because the dad ends up having to go.
Yeah, because I think this is the part where he's at the hospital talking with the mom, and I think I'm assuming talking through like what's going to happen after she goes away.
Yeah, they were talking to a lawyer.
Yeah,
so I think I think it was supposed to be like a custody question. Who's going to take the kid? Because the grandma was also in the room with the lawyer too. So I'm sure it was like a custody type thing, because they were talking about signing papers, I believe. And then the mom was yelling at the dad about, you want to take him away from school, and now all of a sudden now the dad might want him. Unless they were arguing about like the grandma taking him instead of the dad, I guess. You don't really, like you said, it's the little kid looking in on the adults that you don't really get the full story of what they're talking about all the time.
You get the Peanuts version.
Yeah. And again, I think it's like that. Yeah, you're meant to understand things from his perspective, which is kind of just everyone's pulling the cloth over his eyes, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we cut to, I think this is when we cut to school again, right?
Nope, he goes back home and he's staring at the watch for it to turn to 12:07, and then right when it turns on to 12:07, he knocks his foot on the ground, and it's him in the tree in the backyard.
Does the tree come? Oh yeah, the tree does.
Yep,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then he asks him why he's here, and he said, I'm here to heal somebody.
Yeah, and he thinks it's his mom that he's trying to heal.
And again, it's one of those ambiguous things that he does where it's like, yeah, I'm here to heal someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like Connor just assumes, well, that's my mother, right? You're here to heal my mother.
It keeps repeating back to the boy. He's like, you're going to tell me your story. You're going to tell me your nightmare.
Yeah, and he definitely doesn't want to talk about the nightmare.
No, gets really peeved whenever he mentions it.
And the tree just walks away.
Yep.
And then
because he says he'll come. It's not the night to tell the next story yet.
Yeah, and that's I had like a note on that too. Like, was the tree coming every night at 12:07? Because it feels like a couple like weeks kind of passed by here. So is he seeing the tree every night, or is it only when he?
I don't think it was every night.
No, I don't
because
think so.
I really got the impression that there were some nights where he just did not show up.
Yeah,
but I think so. This is where we cut to the school, right? Again,
well, him and his dad yelling at each other the next morning because that's when his dad's finally leaving. And then the little boy cleans up the house from all the destruction he made.
Goes and cleans it all the rest of it up.
Yeah, and he ends up downstairs and he sees Grandma watching the Connor age 5 video that they had found through all the destruction. And she's just kind of sitting there crying. And you can see her going through this explanation of like drawing eyes and like how important it is. Not really to the story, but like just you can kind of see how important drawing was to her. And then the little boy goes back into his drawing. So it feels like he's drawing one picture from each of the dreams that are happening or each of the stories that he's having. Because I think this one he ends up drawing the king, I believe. Is it the king or the witch? He draws one of the two.
The witch on the throne. I believe is
the
what
prince.
Yeah,
he draws the prince.
No. The tree.
Yeah.
He draws the tree this time. Actually, it's the tree like holding him in the air. That's what he ends up drawing, and then he draws like the orange like tree hell, as you explained.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, and then you kind of end up back at the hospital, and you can kind of see things are like going downward from there. Like mom's not going well with her treatment, and then it kicks back to school where the little boy's sitting in the back of the room, and he's got headphones on, and the bully's staring back at him, but he's not staring at the bully. And then they kind of jump into lunch, and the bully's basically like, "You weren't staring at me," and he yells at him. He's like, "I'm not going to give you what you want." It's like basically he says, I feel like you've been doing this on purpose because you want me to see you and you want me to beat you up. So now I just don't see you and you're invisible to me. And he walks away.
Of course, after pouring the juice all over his...
Right, he pours the juice all over him. Then he shakes his hand and says, "I hope your mom gets better."
Yeah, like there's like that weird like, screw your drawing. Hope mom gets better.
And I couldn't... Was that like more of a vicious type line from the kid? I wasn't quite sure.
It didn't sound like it was vicious. But I honestly couldn't tell you.
And then
I had wrote that. It
was a weird moment
for all the kids. It's really hard to tell the difference between them being like kids or them being actually like sarcastic. Because sometimes when he's talking to the tree, and he's like asking questions. It also sounds like he's kind of being a smartass, but it's like really hard to. It's really hard to tell the difference between like a 12-year-old kid talking and them being sarcastic.
Yeah. So then the little boy, pissed, stands up, and then you see a clock behind him turn to 12:07, and then the tree actually rolls in, and he's like, "It's time for the third story." And basically the invisible man.
Yeah, he kind of summarizes this moment Connor's having here. So it's the third story is like just the story of kind of Connor, losing it and going after
it was
the bully.
like there once was a man who was invisible who wanted to be seen, and being invisible made him angry or something like that. And then he balls his fist, and the tree balls its fist. And then you get that scene where he's running after the bully, and the tree's like flipping tables.
He said, "What did the invisible man do?" And he said he called for a monster, and then he just takes off running.
Yeah, takes off running, and then it doesn't really show anything right away. It kicks to he's in the office. Yeah, principal's office.
Or whatever they call it there.
The lady's telling him that he sent this kid to the hospital, and his parents are threatening to
You've sent him to hospital.
His parents are threatening to his parents are going to sue. It was like, of course, this kid's parents are going to sue after all of this. He was the bully, and now he gets beat up.
Yeah.
And she's like, I made a note of this just because, it's one of those funny Britishisms, but like this would normally result in, I think it was exclusion is what they called it there instead of expulsion.
Yeah, exclusion. Yeah. Huh. And then she says, "What were you thinking?" And he kind of starts thinking, and then he actually goes back where he like screaming down the lunch tables and just jumps on that kid and just starts punching him in the face.
Yeah, which I was like
deserved.
Yeah, understandable.
Maybe not send him to the hospital, but deserved a few punches in the face.
Yeah,
and then again we get that line of, "Well, aren't you going to punish me?"
Yeah, like I'm not going to get punished. And she'd be like, "What's the point?"
Yeah, what's the point? Again, it comes down to like it's like that everybody pulling the cloth over his eyes. Everybody just kind of
right. It's not even like she doesn't even like sugarcoat the what's the point. She just literally says, "What would be the point of that?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he doesn't even think he understands it. Yeah, now you can go back to class.
And then he hands it back in class, and he's just sitting there staring at where the seat was of where the bully was sitting. And then all of his classmates are just kind of staring at the chair too. And then they kind of look back at him. And then he's just like quietly walking down the hallway, and he ends up back at the hospital with grandma. And she tells him that he needs to go in and talk to his mother.
Yep,
And
that's where this movie starts getting super, super sad.
yeah, it gets very heavy because then
It gets very heavy because this is where she tells him that the yew tree treatment that he was gonna save her is not working.
Yeah, because he sits there, and I think one of the first thing he says, he's like, "Is this going to be one of those talks? Feels like everybody just wants to talk lately." And then she kind of lays into it, but then she kind of like explains how she kind of knows everything that's been happening. And I had like some notes around it. Basically, she's just telling him, like, just don't, like, if you're gonna break something, break it. If you're gonna be loud, be loud. Like, if you're gonna have these moments, go all out. Like, have the emotion.
Yeah, pretty much.
And she's just said, "I'll be there with you the whole way."
Yeah. This movie takes a very heavy turn, and this is honestly, I don't know that I think I pretty much stopped writing notes after that point in time.
Yeah, I had very limited. The only thing I wrote notes on was like the stories, because I felt like there's going to be some good relevance there. But a lot of this, I felt like I was just trying to just kind of take the movie in because I just didn't know what to expect from it.
Yeah.
Right. So then they go.
Similarly, I had limited notes. Yeah.
After that, doesn't he leave the hospital and run to the yew tree in the graveyard? Right.
He does. Yep.
After that talk with his mom, obviously he's sad. He takes off running, goes to the yew tree, starts kicking the tree, telling him to wake up. And the tree tells him that it's time for his fourth story, and then the story starts happening right there and then. The church starts collapsing. All the graves start falling into the hole. His mom's standing there. Obviously, this is like a dream sequence, but his mom's there.
They're kind of yelling back and forth just before that because he's like, "You said you were going to heal her." He's like, "No, I wasn't." He's like, "Who are you here for then?" He's like, "I'm here to heal you." And he just starts screaming at him, "I don't need healing. I don't need healing. She does." And that's where it jumps to, like, he tells him to look. He's like, "This is your story." And you see the mom staring there, and she's like, "Connor." And then the whole ground just kind of falls through.
Yep, everything falls. He grabs her by the hand.
Yep.
And tries to save her. You get that sequence where he's trying to hold on, and then all of a sudden she's gone.
Yep. She just like disappears.
The scene, not gonna lie, the scene was tough.
Oh yeah, dude. The last like 20 minutes of this movie is tough.
Fair warning, like, folks, if you're listening along, like, this one's gonna be a tearjerker. Probably should have said that up front, but
yeah, it hits a little bit different when you have kids, I would say.
Yeah.
So the tree, and then Connor like says his truth that the tree wants him to say, where he's like,
well, after he had to dig for it because like they were screaming continuously. He's like, I don't have anything. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, yeah, he says like, yeah, that he wants to be done with it. He wants to be done with everything, and then he kind of tries to fall in the hole himself, I guess is how it was kind of portrayed, and the tree catches him before he falls into the hole, and he's like, there, you got it off your chest finally. Like, you finally said what your truth was.
Yeah,
and then he says
essentially the boy was like, Connor, I should say. Yeah, was trying to like almost play dumb. You get the impression, like pretending like he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
just so he could maybe make himself happier.
Yeah, and he says something along the lines, I should feel bad, and he's like, no, you shouldn't feel bad. And then this is where he kind of explains the stories where you can have a witch that's not evil. You can have a priest with no faith, and you can have a invisible man who becomes more invisible once he's seed. And that's where you get like the kid where he's like an actual kid. And he's like, yeah, I didn't really understand most of that. Yeah, which I thought was because even the tree laughs at that. Like, he's like, yeah, I didn't really get the point of those stories mostly. It's like. Like the tree is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Again, I think they're kind of meant to illustrate, like, almost ushering him into, like, I don't want to say adulthood.
the world's not black and white. It's going to be. There's always something that's in the gray area.
The way I took it was leading the boy up to be okay with what he was feeling. That he, for lack of words, he wanted his mom to die so it could be over, so she could be being in pain. And that doesn't make him a bad person. And I think that's what he was trying to lead out with all those stories. There's versions where people just want things and they're not bad people. Again, he was a little boy. He's like, I don't know what you were going for there.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were. Yeah, obviously, like it's pretty deep for a kid to try to figure out.
Right.
And then so the tree goes back to being a tree. Connor lays down by the tree,
Passes
sleeping. Obviously, he was probably sleeping that whole time. The grandma finds him in the middle of like a rainstorm, frantic. Obviously, his mom took even more turns for the worse. They start hauling back to the hospital through all the rain. She's driving like a crazy, going through red lights, almost getting hit. And then I thought it for some reason. I thought it was right away. I thought it was like gates to the hospital, but it was their gates to a train that was coming. Like I didn't get that right away.
Train crossing.
That's their whatever you want to call it.
And then him and his grandma have that little bit of a moment when the train comes through, where he says, "I'm really sorry," and she's like, "It really doesn't matter anymore."
Yeah, she's like,
Like,
I get it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I get it. We have nothing in common, but we do have something in common. It's your mom. Like,
because like we said, it's heavy at the end. Like it's obviously a mother losing her child and the kid losing his mom. They're coming together while this train goes by.
And while they don't say it like before this scene, you realize this is very much the scene that is going to happen. Kind of by Sigourney Weaver's emotional
just by
state.
how frantic she is. So to get back. So the train goes by. They get back up to the hospital. They walk in. The mom is basically weak, can't barely even lift her head. Does notice that they're there. The kid comes over, gives her a hug, all the feels.
Yeah. Say what you mean.
Yeah. And then the tree comes in there and he's like, will you, huh?
He comes in there early.
Yeah,
how did you notice that?
Well, the tree comes in. Yeah, the tree comes in, and then he says, "Will you stay?" And you'll say, "I'll stay till the end." And then you don't get too much else. And then, like we said, foreshadowing before, at 12:07, that's when his mom dies.
Dunkel. Yeah, this is the part.
This is the part
we're talking about the beginning where it all
didn't
comes
quite
back.
catch that. That's where the
12:07 was the time that his mom
comes
passed.
in. Yeah.
So it was a build up.
Yep.
So
and
it's
then
like it was foreshadowing of the very time.
Say it. So that's where
they
I
don't
felt like
say it. They say it. They show it at the end though. It clicks to 12:07. She looks at the tree and they kind of smile at each other. And I did have a note here for being a super serious moment and having a CGI tree in there. It didn't actually feel that silly. Like I kind of thought it was going to be a little silly to have like a tree in this deep moment, but it actually didn't feel like it was that crazy.
No, they did make it. Good point. They did a good job of making the tree kind of an actual solemn character here. Yeah, despite the CGI and kind of initial silliness of it.
And then so the mom kind of sees the tree, like she kind of like notices the tree kind of smiles at her, and that's when she goes. And I think that's where like Liam Neeson being her dad, maybe, I don't know, possibly the tree was also part of that. Maybe he died younger too. They didn't really get into it too much.
No, and like that, I was trying to make connection on that because they go back to the house after this, and Grandma's like gives him a key, and she's like, go into this room. I've been getting it set up for you, and this was the room she was crying in. So it's actually his mom's room when she was a child, and it's showing all these photos, and you see Liam Neeson like holding her and everything, and he's flipping through her photo book. And you see some characters from the stories that the tree was explaining. So then I was trying to figure out, like, what's the connection there? Is, like, the tree supposed to be the ghost of her dad or something? And maybe I was overthinking it because
that was kind of... My guess was maybe he didn't remember, but maybe she told him those stories when he was younger, and that's why when he dreams, he was thinking of this tree and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the very last...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, the very last drawing that she has is of her sitting on the shoulder of this tree.
The impression that I got was that she had kind of went through the same thing because they always kind of flash to pictures of him in the background. But obviously he's not present, and they never really talk about him or address him.
I have a feeling maybe he also like died young, I think, is maybe what maybe like the thought there was.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it came together for me. It was like the monster was kind of like her comfort back then, and now it's his comfort. Kind of, tying it all back together.
Yeah, and that's where the movie ends after he sees the picture of the mom with the tree as a little girl.
And this is where This is where my wife was yelling at me for making her watch such an emotional movie.
Oh, really? I couldn't tell if she just hated it or just hated the fact that it was emotional.
No, she did not like the fact that it was so emotional.
This one gets heavy, folks. So if you're gonna take a gander at it, make sure you have some tissues because it gets pretty deep.
Especially if you're a family man.
I'll start it off with ratings. I give it a 1357 out of 1507. I thought it was very well done. The stuff with the tree was cool. I really like the watercolors. It gets really heavy, but I mean, if it can make you tear up, then they're doing their job. So I liked it a lot.
I'm gonna give it. I'll give it a 1412 out of 1507, actually. And I thought it was a fantastic movie. How they I know I mentioned a couple times throughout the podcast, but how they had, it kind of envisioned things from Connor's perspective and how the monster was kind of the surrogate for, his feelings about the situation and not being able to express them kind of, I guess, neatly.
Right. Right. Yep.
Kind of the expression of that messiness. But it was a very heartfelt movie, and it was interesting. The monster part was interesting. Like, I didn't know what to expect coming into this movie, but what I got was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I was very, very blind coming into this one. I didn't know what to expect. By the cover of it, my immediate assumption was a horror movie, especially from the name of it too, right? But I thought about 1404. I was still very high on it. It was emotional. It wasn't as emotional as like something like 7 Pounds is a pretty sentimental movie. That one kind of had me pretty worked up, but it was still like very heartfelt, very well done, and the tree fit more than I thought it was going to. Yeah, I'd watch it again, definitely.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Recommended watch, folks.
Next week we board a train.
We'll see.
Remember to like, follow, subscribe, all the things on the social media. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the streaming services for podcasting.
And if you got any feedback for us, folks, don't be afraid to share it. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Catch you in the next one.
See you next time.